Hello, everybody. Hi, Stephanie. Beautiful. Got it shared to a couple places, which is fantastic. Welcome, everybody. Just going to allow people to kind of step in for a minute. And today, before we get started, I just want us all to take a nice deep breath. I think what a good place to start is just really connecting with breath, understanding and feeling what the breath is, how it connects to our soul, to all of our beingness. I'm so honored to be with you again. Sundays, like I said, you guys, they're just my favorite mornings. It's one of my favorite things to wake up to is my cup of coffee and all of you and sitting here with Colin. And Colin has done so much writing and so much research through his own beingness, through loving himself, supporting himself, understanding what it's like to connect to the soul. And there are some topics that are a little bit challenging for our human brains to wrap around. And a lot of that is the biomechanics of what we are, how we function, why do we function this way. And so today, Colin, I'm so excited about this topic because I learned a new word today. So we're going to talk about the systems that humanity is used to and what really an organic system is, or I think you were calling it an egalitarian system, if I said that correctly. And so, hi, Lyndon. Hi, Sue. Hello, you beautiful people. And what that's like, what it's like for us to be living in these systems, and how do we break out of that, and how do we go to more of this organic unity construct through our own biomechanics is, I believe, where we're headed today. I hope I got that right. So welcome, everybody. We're going to learn a lot today. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Chastity, for that introduction, and hi to all the viewers and listeners out there. In 2014, I was asked by my higher self, after spending 8 years as a grid keeper, to go and tell everybody what I had learned. And I'd become a grid keeper in 2006 to 2014. And 2014, I was told by my higher selves that our grid work had been successful and we had restored the Earth's grid sufficiently to allow for the free flow of energy on the planet. Now that's very important because for the flow of energy on the planet. But having said that, in 2014, I was told to go tell everybody how it works. Because I'd been trained in how it works as a grid keeper. And so I kind of jumped in, and I invented, I suppose, a term that I called bioenergetic mechanics. But I didn't really explain what that was. And I think after 7 years of telling people about it, now I would like to explain exactly what it is. And it's taking a worldview which is totally contradictory to the way humans experience their reality. And it takes the view that everything in the universe is energy. And people might find that strange, it's like, because people understand energy as being electricity, because that's what most people experience here as their form of energy. But there is another form of energy out in the universe, which Nikola Tesla understood about, and he wanted to bring it to Earth. He wanted to bring free energy to Earth because he understood that energy exists everywhere. It's all around us. We are surrounded by energy. And digging up coal out of coal mines, and subjecting miners to the effects of working in a coal environment is very detrimental to their health.
Mm-hmm.
And so humans have come up with all kinds of ways to try to harness that energy. But in a sense, it's quite obvious that everything around us is energy. People don't ask the obvious questions is, what is this life force energy that I experience when I'm born? What animates my body? What animates everything around me? What allows bees to fly, butterflies to fly, birds to fly, fish to swim, whales to, do what they do? It's all about energy, and they all have the same life force energy. It's sometimes called chi or prana in different teachings, but it's the same life force energy. And people, and aided and abetted by the science community, have ignored this energy all their lives. They don't want us to find out about free energy and where the source of this energy comes from, and what is this energy and how it works, and what creates, what animates humans, what gives them the experience of life, what is the environment that is created by this all-encompassing energy around humans, and how does it work? People just don't have answers to these questions. So I try to answer these questions in my writings, in my teachings, in my courses, in my books, that energy is everywhere. It surrounds us. And people say, well, if I can't see this energy, how can it be? Well, if you have a cell phone, where does that message that you hear on your phone come from?
Great question. What as I'm listening to you talk, Colin, it reminds me of being a little girl. And when I was a little girl, I had more questions. I asked more questions. And it was society, it was the people that said, stop asking so many questions. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. And so little by little, our light dims. And then we even from there lose the language um, that it takes to even remember to ask the right questions and to be curious. And it's actually the way you're sharing it is really hitting me quite intensely this morning, thinking about, gosh, it really has been taken from us, not even so much hidden, but just taken away from us. Our knowledge, because our curiosity disappeared, our language is gone. And, it's wow. So how do people even know to ask the right questions? Because you're saying, to ask the questions. Well, how do we know anymore? Especially people who have been so far into the system of life.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing, because it requires a paradigm shift in one's consciousness to understand this. that everything you observe is energy. But learning how that energy works is what I teach. How does this energy transform itself from electromagnetic waves, into particles that we observe as our reality? And to try to explain that to people in very simple terms is very difficult, because everyone is brainwashed. Not everyone, but many people on this planet are brainwashed to think that the things that they see are the things that they can believe in.
Yeah.
Whereas the things that you do not see are more important and more significant than the things you can see.
Yes.
And you only have to experience true love with another being once to understand this, that it's the unspoken things between lovers. It's the unspoken things between, partners who support each other that brings out the best in them. And what is that? That is love. It's energy.
Yeah. The
Love is
highest
energy.
form.
Yeah. And so, what I had to learn to do, because I had no understanding of this when I first woke up, that it is when I observed things, not just to observe the physical form of the thing that I was seeing, but to try to understand the energy that was behind that thing that I was seeing.
Mm.
And so I had to go out into the garden and look at a tree and say, okay, here's a tree. What am I seeing? It's a tree. I was trying to, become cognitively resonant rather than dissonant. And then I would sit in front of the tree and think, well, if this tree is energy, where does the energy come from? And what energy does this tree have? Who made that energy? Why is it that I am seeing this tree in the first place? Is it because it's there? Or is it because I put it there? And so all these concepts began to change my understanding of life, because what we see is what is real. What we see is what we create.
Yes.
Be real.
Yeah. I want to comment on the seeing part, if you don't mind me interrupting. I work with a lot of people who are also, I don't know, it's so challenging for me to put words and titles on things, but seers or psychics or, healers, these kinds of frequencies. And the question comes all the time, when will I see? When will I see? How come I can't see anymore? And I remember when I was younger, I could see so much stuff and it was frightening to me. And I said, I don't want to see anymore. I don't want to see. And my sight, my vision that way was gone, but all my other senses were still there. I could still hear, taste, smell, feel. And I said, okay, never mind. I want to see. I want to see. But it reminds me that sometimes what we see is scary because we don't have any way to make sense of it. So it kind of comes from a realm of mass consciousness that can be really scary for people. And so how do we know what we're seeing is real? And a reminder also to people of, this is my personal opinion, but I believe that feeling is our first sense of seeing. It's our first sense of knowing. And so I say it's better that you're not seeing, because you would be subject to holographic inserts easier. And then you have to then go and discern, what the hell am I seeing here? Is this me? Is this not me? What is this? And so seeing to me is feeling, which turns into believing. That's my personal thought on that. But
Yeah, to take, for instance, when you're observing that tree,
Mhm.
okay, normal human behavior or understanding would say, that's a tree. There's branches and leaves, and it's growing upright. And it has a stem and the roots under the ground, perhaps. I don't know about the roots, because you don't see the roots.
Mhm.
But what I can see is this tree. Now, using that language, this is a tree. What does it do to the human brain? It says, that's a tree, therefore it is vegetable. It is a deciduous tree, and we've been given all these names and facts about trees that immediately rush into the brain. So we only see the tree. We don't see the energy behind the tree
Mhm.
because we are a word centered reality here. People put so much store by words. And the sad thing is people don't really understand the words they use.
Mhm. Yes,
Understand why they use them.
exactly.
That
And
kindness,
go ahead.
you take kindness and generosity, for instance. When you are being kind, what you are doing, you're making a stand for kindness. You're saying, I stand on the side of kindness. When you are generous, you're saying, I'm standing on the side of generosity. But in this crazy world we live in, it means a totally different thing. When I'm kind to somebody, I'm showing them love and all the other things, but I'm not taking responsibility for it. I don't think that I generated this kindness. I think it comes from a good heart, or the way I've been taught to, and the way I've been brought up, and and it's not. It's when people take personal responsibility for
Yep.
the words they use, the thoughts they think, the emotions they feel, the actions they take. When they take personal responsibility for it, it changes the system.
Mhm.
How do I know this? Because I I was fortunate enough to be taken into higher dimensional space, time-space continuums, and I experienced other societies, higher dimensional societies who were not like Earth. And they were totally different from Earth. And they were more egalitarian, in that everyone was equal. There were no upper or higher, or, every, and if the communities worked beautifully together, there was total joy in the community. There was no violence, no law breaking. It was, it was just a beautiful experience. And so after being in those experiences, what was the difference between those societies and our society here on Earth? And the big difference in the end was this, that in those societies, everybody took responsibility for creating that egalitarian society. Whereas on Earth, what happens, people rely on systems of government, systems of law, systems of economics, systems of education, systems of science, systems of biology, systems of understanding, philosophy, teaching, and they're all systems
Mhm.
that divert people away from the very notion that they are causing the system. And so people rely on this thing outside of them called the system to support them, sustain them, give them life, give them an experience of reality that they hope they will get, which usually they don't get because the systems actually has built-in systems,
Yeah.
subsystems. that causes self-sabotage of human psyche, and causes humans to self-sabotage themselves. And so systems, also another thing that systems do, they have a way of creating opposing systems. So you have capitalism and communism, capitalism and socialism, you have up and down, this system, that system, you have the monetarists in economies, you have those who are capitalists in economies, you get, and so all these opposing systems are there to create a confusion in the minds of people, so they forget who they are, and they look at the systems to try to resolve their problems.
And it's the same, and they can't. I just had this conversation with some friends, and I said, I'm just the more we look at this, and the more I look at this, it's the light and the dark within the system is the same thing. It's created right by the exact same power. And I'm not talking about the light and the dark in the people. I'm talking about the light and the dark in the system. It's the exact same thing, and it pretends to be separate entities or separate systems, and it's not. And that's one of the things I say, like when we get like a new president comes in, and I'm like, ooh, yay, it's like new general management. We still have the same owners, right? It's just, it doesn't make a lick of difference to me. So it's really quite fascinating to think about this, to think about what the systems are. And there's, how do we, and then everybody will blame the system. And the ones that can begin to, when we start to see, when we start to wake up, we're like, well, all of a sudden we have all these ways of blaming the system or blaming somebody else, or this even goes into blaming our parents for the way that we are, instead of taking responsibility, instead of saying, oh, well, now I see the system, now what do I do about that? How do I get out of this web of deceit? I kind of see it as like a big AI spider with, like, just the body parts, and then all these legs, and each leg even has like different little pieces on it. Really, like, how do people get out of that, Colin? What do they do?
Well, the way to get out of it is to go in and to understand the power that we have, in our soul bodies, that the power we have to make choices, the power we have to think, power we have to feel, the power we have to choose between one value and another value. And when one submits oneself to a system, you are effectively submitting yourself to become a slave. Because when you submit yourself to a system, you are giving up your sovereign rights to be who you are. And the universe, that is the beauty that I found in the universe, that the universe was designed to allow every expression of creation to be sovereign, and to allow it to experience itself as a sovereign, throughout creation. And it's very difficult for people to understand that we live in a unified field of consciousness. Now, if we get into that understanding of what is a consciousness, what is a unified field of consciousness, well, if you understand that the universe is filled with consciousness, the universe is conscious. Now, what is conscious? Conscious is the intelligence, it's information, and how that information gets spread from one group to another. How does this all work? And that's, what I'm trying to teach my students, is that to understand the levels of consciousness there are, because there are different levels of consciousness, and they call different dimensions. Now, if you have a very low level of consciousness, that you see things as being physical matter, and you see yourself as being a slave to a system, that is consciousness. You hold a certain consciousness, information. Now, that consciousness is at odds with the way the universe works, because the universe doesn't trap people into slavery. The universe is free. It promotes freedom. If you look at the birds, they fly freely. Yeah, the trees grow freely. They don't ask for permission to grow. They don't need a license to grow. They don't need regulatory authority to do what they do. They are self-regulating within an ecosystem and a biosystem in their own experience. Mm-hmm. And it's really just human human consciousness that accepts the role of slavery, that diminishes their ability to be sovereign.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I've been seeing this more and more of people allowing themselves to rely on the system, and actually fighting against people who insist that it is a system and that it's important to break out of that fence. And this is where the battle is coming. And when we move into spiritual battles and see what's happening, the human against the anti-human, and how the system wants to continue to, loosely stating, enslave thoughts even. I was just reading something, or watching something rather. It was a short video on how they wanted to, the fallen ones want to take humanity's consciousness, which they already have, I think, for thousands of years had enough of. And so, but they want to be able to knock the souls out, so then they can use the avatar body, which this, the soul body, to be able to do what they want with it, while we live in our meat suits indefinitely as the system, while they get to ride around with us. And I thought, I'll be damned if that's going to happen. So it's like, not mine. I do not consent to that. But I found it most fascinating that there are so many ways to look at information outside or within the system to be able to give you clues. It's like these little road signs that pop up, like, hey, before you go down this road, you might want to look at the consequences. And there's always fine print to everything. And what these little road signs are opportunities to go, hold on, I'm seeing something, I'm feeling something. What is that? Oh, that's my soul. I better go within and find my way home, instead of stay out in this video game, if you will. It's interesting how it's all happening. I just want to say, Dan was saying, going back to the tree, that he had a teacher who left the expression, let's see, my teacher who left this expression in 2019 had a relationship with a pine tree at the age of 12, and he learned everything from this tree. That's beautiful. And he's basically saying also, he feels at home when he's with all of our people here. Thank you, Dan. And Lyndon is talking about how she plays with light reflections in the water that's created by sun codes. And she knows that they're living light language. And this is one of the ways she works with the Deva worlds and creating drastic change in the heart space, and expanding that out from her consciousness into the consciousness of humanity. Thank you, guys. Thank you, David. It's beautiful to see you here as well. I just like to be able to um, give everybody a shout out and thank you for being here and listening and interacting with us as we chat. It's still it's still going to be hard for people, I think. Uh, I've found, or I've been seeing that it's still hard for people to not recognize these signs that pop up, to be able to lead us to go back within. And it's really challenging for people because they've had lifetimes of pain. And it's really dark and challenging sometimes to go within.
Yeah,
And I don't know. My theory on that is do it anyway. I don't have any nice way to say it. There's nothing happy or cheery about it at first. If you're scared, I completely understand that. But it's the way to the dimensional frequencies of love and unity.
yeah. Well, if it's any comfort to everybody out there, the entire universe feels pain
Yes.
because pain involves change,
Yeah.
and change can be very challenging for everybody. And, I had a discussion once with my higher self, and I told him, because I was really in pain at that stage in my life, the pain of knowing that there is an alternative which we've never been taught about, that there is an alternative to understanding everything, how the universe works, how the planets work, how the stars work, how the galaxy works. It's never been explained to me, to humanity. And I was really feeling the pain of that. And I anointed myself as Jeremiah, the weeping prophet, because I would often sit in my bed and just cry and cry and cry, because everything that I'd been taught was a lie.
Yeah.
And nothing that I had been taught was of any great value to me. It was of value to me in getting along on this planet. But then I had all the obstacles that came with that. The obstacles of money, of acquiring things and acquisition, and having things around me and having to look after them, and then the repairs and maintenance of the things that I had around me. And it really just took up so much of my time that I thought, to hell with it, I'm going to get rid of all this crap and just and stand alone without the burden of all this stuff that was weighing me down. And I said, I'm in so much pain. I don't know what to do about it. And he said to me, pain is one way, pain is one certain way to know that you're alive.
Mm-hmm.
Dead people don't feel pain. And I thought about it. I thought, okay, all this pain I'm going through is necessary. It's like when a tree grows, going back to the tree, because I love trees.
Yes.
When a tree grows in pain. As those little branches come out from the stem, that causes pain to the stem of the tree. As those leaves come out of the branches, it causes pain to the branches because they have to give the energy that is necessary in order to them.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, I was able to reinterpret what pain is. Pain is not something that makes us suffer. Pain is something that makes us grow. And it sustains life.
Mm-hmm.
And people avoid pain. I don't know why. But I learned many years ago to embrace pain. When I got a toothache, I said, thank you. You're telling me something. There's
Mm-hmm.
something in my mouth that shouldn't be there. There's something that I'm doing that I shouldn't be. So instead of avoiding the pain, I embraced it.
Yeah.
and let it become my teacher, because pain can teach you so much about yourself. And I see this many times where people are suffering emotional pain, deep emotional pain. They've lost a loved one, or they've broken up with somebody, or their marriage has just failed, and so on. They go through deep emotional pain, and they think, what did I do wrong?
Yes.
Instead of asking, what is right about this situation?
Yes.
How can I turn this situation into a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
something that from which I can grow? So the whole of human consciousness on this planet is trapped in a system that doesn't support them. It doesn't sustain them. It doesn't give them anything that they can really rely on.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit.
It is all bullshit. When I work on people hands-on, I found out early on in my career that how much was held in the body, how much memory was held in the cellular structure. I love the human body. I love humans. I'm fascinated by the soul constructs and how all of this works and connects into the body. And when we have deep emotional pain and tragedies coming from past, present, and future traumas, they're in our cellular structures, and they move up in through our fascial tissue and into our musculoskeletal structures. And one of the things that I say, especially if you have a really intense trigger point or something's happening, and I have a really heavy hand. I'm tiny. I'm like 105 pounds on a good day, right? But I am strong. And people are not super excited to come and see me when it happens. But one of the things I say when we find those points, they'll try to pull away. And I said, don't pull away. I need you to move into the pain. And we move into the pain, we shorten the tissue, the muscle fibers, and we look at what that pain is. And we treat the area like an emotion. And what is going to come out of there, and we're going to be kind to it. And in order for it to release, a lot of the people I notice when they're coming in for relaxing, once and I'm sharing this not because I'm sharing this to say that when you're in the mindset to release, you automatically begin releasing. So when people come to see me or would come to see me for massage, which I'm not doing hands-on work right now, but they would start crying the second they got on the table. And that's because they're ready to release. They're ready to look at their emotions and have that be moved out from their body. And so, for everybody listening today, you can move through the pain by just putting your intention into saying, I'm going to release the pain.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly how it works. And you've described it beautifully. And I'm glad you're doing that work, because so many people, including myself, before I woke up, didn't know how to deal with pain. My way of dealing with pain was to run away from it, to change the circumstances so I didn't feel this pain anymore. Instead of dealing with the pain that I was being confronted with, I would run away from the pain.
Yeah.
And so I kept running away from pain, and not accepting that pain is energy. It's part of the system.
Yes, it is. Yep. And by the time it's hit the body, you missed all the clues out here.
Yeah.
And of the soul body. You've missed all of the, hey, I just want to let you know there's something you might want to work on. And when you don't listen to it, it's going to come down and it's going to hit you pretty hard. And that's what's going to cause the pain in the body.
Yeah. Perhaps we can do a show one evening on pain and dealing with pain, but it is a fascinating subject.
Mhm.
And really, on this planet, on a day-to-day basis, I'm watching people going through pain. Everyone seems to be in some sort of pain.
Mhm.
And the thing is, they've just never been taught how to deal with that pain. You know, that pain is inevitable. A child isn't born without pain. But on the other hand, there is pain on the side of the mother. But there's also the courage that it takes a young fetus to grow into a baby. And then for that baby to take that journey down that vaginal canal into empty space. That is so courageous.
It is. It is. And it's fascinating to me because it's my understanding that we are not organically supposed to have pain during the birth process. And because we have chosen to bring our consciousness into a system, we are subject then to pain until we understand how to get out of it. I always thought, I've been thinking this to myself actually lately. What are people afraid of? Well, they're afraid of dying. They're afraid of leaving this system. And uh, I thought to myself, and I just went to a funeral yesterday, and it was quite beautiful because I think for the first time, I thought to myself, what what a blessing, what a blessing to be able to be free and go back and look and say, okay, what would I have done different? What did I accomplish? Or what needs to, do I need to go back and do anything? Just the opportunity to free the soul from this system. And then I looked at it as, why are we not celebrating death, but we celebrate birth, which is extremely painful, knowing full well this child is going to have to go through all kinds of stuff. How do we keep them out of the system? How do you raise a child and teach them that they're free thinkers and that they're individuals in a unity consciousness? Like how do we do this? And then, but when you're dead, you go back and all of a sudden you're free of all of that. And so I thought, I think it should be the other way around. I don't think we should celebrate birthdays. I think we should only celebrate the death days or something. I don't know. I don't know if that sounds morbid, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, no, I understand perfectly. Yeah, it's really a sense of people grappling with the notion that they have to avoid fear, but at the same time they recognize that fear helps them to grow, but they can't reach out to that fear and that pain and say, okay, I own this. This is me. This, I created this. If I created this, I can uncreate it.
Yeah.
You know, people just won't take ownership of their own experiences of life. They want to blame somebody else, or say it's somebody else's fault, or it was, you know, just circumstantial, or, you know, it was a coincidence that this happened or that happened. And they can't see that they are the masters of their own creation.
Mm-hmm.
They are the masters of their own experiences. And again, it's about people not relying on the system, but taking personal responsibility for creating the system in which they exist.
Mm-hmm.
And when people take that personal responsibility, you can change the system. You can't change a system while you've submitted to it. It will just make you a slave to it.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that. It's interesting to see people begin to say, well, how do I live outside of the system? How do I do that? Like they're starting to see, oh my goodness, we do have sovereign rights, but how do I implement that? What is the first step I take for that?
Well, that's a very good question. And that's the most important question that people can ask themselves. What can I do about it?
Yeah.
what they can do about it is take responsibility. Now, what does that mean? It means that you take responsibility for being an eternal, sovereign soul being in the universe, an individuated expression of all that is. Now, what does that mean? That all that is everything that exists in the universe, and we are a tiny portion of that, a little part of the fabric of the universe. And unless we take responsibility for that, we create what is called a ripping time and space, which means that the thread is broken. And when the thread is broken, that is when the fallen ones come in and they take advantage of the system. So it's up to each individual to take personal responsibility for their own experiences. Yes. And no matter whether it's good or bad, don't judge it in that way, because our words judge. It's not us who judge. Energy doesn't judge. It just flows. It just flows. And but when we interject that flow of energy with words of judgment and prejudice, and this has happened to me because he's much bigger than me. This has happened to me because he's black. This has happened to me because he's a Hindu. This has happened to me because he's a Muslim. And people say, well, this is happening to me because these people aren't like me. Yeah. So how can I exist when all these people don't, act like me? Well, the thing is, if you are you, and you've been authentic about who you are, and you've been sovereign about who you are, you will accept others as being sovereign, and you'll accept their right to be who they be. And so there's no blame attached to anybody. We have to take personal responsibility for all that we experience, whether it's good or bad. Earlier this year, I tore my Achilles tendon, which had been snapped before many years ago, but it tore again. And suddenly I felt this pain. And my immediate response was breath. Yeah. Blow against that pain. Accept it. Release it. Release it. Yeah. When that is our response, accept what is happening to me and accept the power that I have to change what is happening to me. Yeah. But what people do is when they get into pain, what do? They hold their breath. Oh, no, this is not me. This is not me. Take that pain away, Whoa. But it works in the opposite direction. Yeah. Accept the pain. Hold it. Yep. Deal with it. Yep. It's beautiful because the breath, when you pull your breath in, you're pulling your breath, you're pulling the spot of pain with your breath. So you're holding that breath and intertwining it with the pain, whether that be physical pain, emotional pain, whatever it is. And then you do exactly what you're doing. Because it's all held with your breath, then you release it. You send it right back into source to be reanimated. And then you're able to breathe more clearly, more deeply. And each breath, when you do it this way, will dissipate the pain more and more every time. Yeah, because we are incredibly powerful beings in the sense that we have a soul body out here that is pure energy, that is eternal energy, that will never die. It will continue through many, many lifetimes and many, many different experiences. And it gives us the ability within this physical body to experience ourselves in a physical way that will challenge us to experience our reality and be to each other what we would like to be to ourselves. So in a sense, it's like I am God, but I'm going to express my godness to you, and I hope that you will express your godness to me. That's an egalitarian society.
Mhm.
When we bring in this pain, it dissipates, as you said. Your body, it just goes into your physical body, into your soul body, which that can deal with it.
Yeah.
That's what it's designed to do.
Yeah.
Our bodies are designed to heal. Our souls are designed to heal the physical body. And if instead of thinking thoughts that are self-defeating, think thoughts that are fulfilling. Breathe in the pain, breathe out the pain.
Yeah.
When I learned this, I started to learn that if I felt pain in my tooth, that I could transfer the pain to my foot. So it wouldn't be in my tooth anymore, it would be in my foot. And then I could move it from the left foot to the right foot. You can move the pain all around your body. You can move the pain into your soul body. And you can play with pain. It's the people avoid pain like the plague, but pain is a fact of life. Everything is in pain. Everything that's growing is in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Not pain as we understand it. Pain is just transformation, transmutation. You know, when a locust, when a butterfly emerges from a cocoon, it's gone through a lot of pain to get there. You know, the worm spins a cocoon around itself, and then it lies in pain, and then it merges as a butterfly. When I say it lies in pain, it's not physical pain as we know it here. It's the pain of transformation. It has to go through that process. And that's one of the great gifts that pain can teach us, is that sometimes we just have to deal with it. And the big lesson is that we are good enough and strong enough and courageous enough to deal with it. But it doesn't have to stay with us. We can blow it out into the universe.
Yes, we can. Mary says that she sent me a good reminder. One time I had shared with her to breathe with the breath of the Christ through the pain. And, you know, that really is, yes, and imagining the cells as chrysalis as they go into crystalline structures. This is something that, you know, we're really moving into this unity consciousness for real, like you're talking about, Colin, and this egalitarian construct. And that is because we are actually physically going through pain right now as we move out of carbon-based bodies, carbon-based systems, and we're really moving to higher frequency bodies. This is a transformation, and this is a physical transformation for all of humanity. It's not a select few people. This is for humanity. And so it's really creating some discomfort in our bodies, and it's forcing us to walk through the darkness, to walk through the pain, because the planet herself is going through this rebirth, and in order to create more of the vibration of the unity consciousness. And so it's happening to every single one of us. And, you know, I've pushed out 5 babies. I have home births. My very first one was in a hospital, but I've pushed them all out. And I'll tell you what, the pain stops the second the baby comes out. It's like, you know, just work through it. Just feel the pain, push it out, and then the pain stops.
Yeah. And that's an illustration of life, you know. Where there is life, there's going to be pain.
Yeah.
But you have to push through the pain in order to experience the life. You know,
Yeah.
it's a simple thing. When I say simple, it's not simple for most people, because they think of pain as something that as cause and effect. They don't they think the cause is outside of them. They don't realize the cause is within them.
Yeah.
They cause the pain.
Yeah.
And so they must accept the blame for the
Yes.
pain. And once they accept that, they can deal with it.
That's so hard for human consciousness, Colin, because, well, why would I bring pain to myself? It's such a foreign human idea of, well, of course I'm not going to bring pain to myself. Well, when we live in the lower dimensions in the system, we are choosing to continue to bring pain to ourselves. Every single day that we choose to live within the system and in the frequency fence, we choose pain. And so it's going to then be up to you to say, I don't choose this for myself anymore. And I certainly don't want it for humanity. I don't want to see people suffering like this. So we choose to walk through it and we choose to breathe through it. Yeah.
And we're talking about pain on an individual basis, but societies tend to feel pain as a society. It's groups of people, like when a family member dies, you have funeral and everybody feels the pain of the loss of that person that has died. And so there's group pain. But just as there's group pain, there's also community pain. When a prominent member of the community dies, that pain is felt by the whole community. And when a great statesman, say like JFK dies, the whole world feels the pain. But if one can accept that that pain goes out into the universe, so that that pain also becomes the pain of the solar system, and it will have consequential results. And the pain in the solar system will create the pain in the galaxy. Mm-hmm. So the question really is, why do we keep creating our own pain? Mm-hmm. It's because we miss the point. We miss that we are powerful, eternal soul beings, and that it is up to each individual to hold the threads of the fabric of the universe together. And when one piece of that thread is broken, the whole fabric is weakened. And it's a word I'm trying to find. It's a self-evident truth that when you take a thread of anything and you break it, what do? You separate one piece from another. And that's what humans do. They are masters at separation.
Yes.
They're masters of creating division. They're masters of creating chaos. They're masters of creating self-defeat. And really, humanity has to get out of that. If you're going to get out of this, situation we're in, we have to cooperate with the universe. And the universe is a unified field of consciousness. And what you feel inside of you, what you think inside of you, goes out into the universe. It's not just to other people. It's a universal thing. And people can begin to understand that the universe is a very big space, but every small space within the universe is important to the whole. And the universal fabric it just flows. And when there's damage in the fabric collapses. But it has a self-restoration system that will restore that fabric, and that's when the pain is felt. When the system is beginning to restore itself, the pain is not just felt by an individual, it's felt by the community, it's felt by the country, it's felt by the earth. And so we have to just learn to flow with the universe rather than flow with the systems that are guiding us into, a separation and disunity. So yeah, I
Yeah.
may be a lone, a voice in the wilderness, but I ain't going to change my tune.
No, I know. I don't think you're a lone voice, but and I'm with you. So I'm following you. I see it as you have one, you push one space. It's like tensegrity. So you push one spot on the body and it adjusts the whole fascial arrangement within the body. And so you can't you can't move and shake up one space without shaking up the rest, meaning I can't have my own thoughts without creating some type of ripple around me. And so being in alignment with your thoughts and emotions, your intentions, your values goes right back to everything. Every decision that you choose affects what is around you. And it can go out into a massive scale. Um, Dan is saying that he says, Colin, you are the closest teacher I found to my first teacher, and I want you to know that I am home with you in Chastity. He's feeling home today. Thank you, Dan. Isn't Colin great? I love my Sundays. I'm telling you what. And you guys, we are just at an hour here. And so we don't want to keep you guys too long. And we want to, be able to let you digest, because it's a lot of information that comes in on various different levels of the psyche. And so being able to digest and have a good rest of your day is, I think, really important. Well, speaking of, Emily was saying something about how song, what does she say? She imagines music tones dancing in her body where it hurts. And I love that, because we have so many new, just to leave everybody with this, so many new frequencies coming into the planet, tones, sounds, vibrations, and it is glorious and so helpful. So opening up our bodies to accept all of the information that's coming in as the musical spheres are harmonizing, as we are alchemizing into these new bodies, just as Colin says, allow yourself to go with the flow, move through this instead of fight against it. And we will be able to mend the fabric accordingly.
Yeah, very well said.
Oh, thank you. Probably wasn't me. Oh my goodness.
I saw the puppet there, but I saw the fingers inside the puppet doing the thing.
Yeah. Say this, say it this way. Okay, I'll try. It's my higher self. My higher self is always way more eloquent than my 3D self. So where can we find you, Colin? Where can we find your stuff? Your teaching?
Well, on my website, the writings of Colin Joe Byrne, colinjoe.com, sorry. And yeah, there's an enormous amount of information on that website, and also the courses that I do. You can sign up for them there. You can get the books that I've written. But having said that, people need to take serious cognizance of their reality at this time, because we're going through an enormous time of change, and it's not change, it's fiery change.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed by fire, it's changed by trial, it's changed by challenge, huge challenge for people. But having said that, I know that each individual is a very powerful expression of the oneness of God. And they have the capacity within them to deal with it in a very elegant and gracious way. And if people would just give themselves credit for that and say, though we are fighting the dragons here, we ought to say to them, who are you to dare challenge us? And when we get a hold of that and we have the confidence and the courage to believe in ourselves and the power that we hold within our soul bodies, we'll make this a very, very different experience than the one they wanted us to have. Yeah. So that I just leave that with everyone as my closing message.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Now I'm having visions of what I'll be saying in my next going within. I'll be throwing down God's book of the law everywhere I go. Who do you think you are?
Exactly.
All right. Oh dear. Much love to everybody out there. Thank you for being here. We'll see you guys again next Sunday.
Yeah.
All right.
Love you all. And it's great to be with you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Colin.